WHCR 90.3 FM, the voice of Harlem. It's me, Phil, and you're listening and watching to Phil and Friends right here on New York's favorite radio station. Listen, I've got a great guest here with me today. I've got my friend, and I've been doing this series with overcoming and healing. And I've got a good friend, Alex Cornejo from Los Angeles, California. He's going to come on today, and he is going to talk about his life, his journey, and I'm not going to tell you about it. I'm going to let him tell you his story and his journey. It's a powerful journey, but it's a story about healing. And all of these stories that I'm doing are about healing and forgiveness. And sometimes we have to learn how to forgive ourselves. And sometimes that's the hardest thing to do. But he has a great story. So let's give it up for my boy, Alex Cornejo.
Hey,
brother,
what's going on?
The fly guy himself.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something about Alex, man. He always looks good. You never see Alex looking crazy. We go back all the way back to Los Angeles. We worked together on Skid Row at one of the largest homeless shelters in Los Angeles. And he was just a great guy. He was a fashion guy. He was like, "Hey man, we got this and that. You should put this up with that." I'm like, "Man, go on." But and he also wears a do-rag. So
wave check.
As you can see,
wave check.
But go ahead and introduce the people to you.
All right. Well, my name's Alex Cornejo, and first of all, I just want to tell the listeners and friends of Phil that it's a pleasure to be on your show, Phil. It's a pleasure to see you in this capacity. We met at Union Rescue Mission in Los Angeles, but you told me about different things that you did in life and in the industry and acting and stuff like that. So it's really good to see you in this capacity, and you have a shine when you do this. So it seems like this is your happy moment. This is your happy place. And I'm glad that I could be a part of it. I'm glad that we remain friends and we talk frequently over Instagram, or we do the FaceTime, or we do, FaceTime over Instagram because I'm still a Droid user, whatever. Right. But yeah, it's Phil's a good guy, and thank you for having me today. But would you just like me to go ahead and start off with?
Yeah, let's jump right into it. It's an hour show, so it goes by very fast. But you have a really great story. And I like to say that this is a story about forgiveness of the self.
Yes.
Lost, but now found. But you were never really lost. So go ahead, and I don't want to tell people your story, but I want you to and your testimony.
Well, thanks again, Phil. And I'm just going to take you back a little bit to when the moment that it all kind of happened for me. And interestingly enough, when I was going to do the show, I started to think about what time of the year it was. And this is going to be my 20th year that when I actually got sober. So I'm going on 20 years. And it's funny because I was like, wait a minute, it's March. I think it was around this time that I had got arrested for the first time in 2001 on a series of arrests that was going to lead to my transformation, where God was going to actually set the trap for me and have me make that decision like, hey, it's either now or never. Right. And, so anyways, it's March. Today is March 3rd. And I believe on the papers that it said March 7th that I was convicted of this particular felony. So it's just like every year I do this journey around certain months, because I like to see of like where I was at this time, how many years ago, but now it's going to be in the 20th year. It was a series of first arrests that was going to lead, like I said, to God set the trap. But anyways, at this particular time, I had a series of trying to get clean, getting clean for a little bit, failing, going back on drugs, doing things like that. And the reason is because I grew up in a household where my dad was a heroin addict, my uncles were heroin addicts, everybody around me was, either drinking. They kind of had that. I don't know how they, I don't know on the East Coast, but on the West Coast, there's this kind of like Cholo, Chicano, lowrider style, like where
and tell people you grew up in Los Angeles.
I grew up in California. Yeah, like Northern California. And
you grew up in Northern California. Okay.
Yeah, Northern and Southern California. So California, period. It's just the style. But I grew up in that culture of drugs and seeing my dad do this thing. You go, drugs, jail, Jesus, rinse and repeat. That's what they would do.
Drugs, jail, Jesus, rinse and repeat.
Yeah, it's a crazy life cycle, right? That people would go through. And but seeing this growing up, you would think to myself as a little kid, I would say, I don't want any of that. I've seen people, I mean, my home has been raided.
Mm.
People have overdosed in my home. I've seen people shooting heroin at a young age. I started smoking myself weed at a very young age. And the very first time that I tried meth was 15 years old.
Wow.
And so, from 15 to 29, I had an off and on relationship with crystal meth, but mostly it was on. And so leading up to this, I had tried times to get off the drugs and get them off them for a while, do good, and then go back. So it's funny because I saw my uncles and my dad do this: drugs, jail, Jesus, rinse and repeat throughout their life. And here I was as an adult: drugs, jail, Jesus, rinse and repeat.
Right.
You would do the drugs, you'd end up in jail, you found Jesus again, and then you would get out trying to do good, and you'd go back to the same lifestyle, and you'd repeat the process. So anyways, my transformation and salvation, obviously through Jesus Christ, but it ironically came from my dad. So in 2000, I guess it was or mid 2000, my dad, I would see him at my sister's house, which I would show up to frequently. I was homeless, running around the streets, doing drugs, doing whatever I can, credit card fraud, doing drugs. I was terrible. But my dad would see me there on the weekends when I would run into him, and he'd say, "Hey, son." He would say, no, he said, "Hey, boy," because that's what he used to call me, "Boy, you should come with me to this place in downtown LA," because we were in Pomona. And he would say, "I work out every morning. I'm an escort for the dental clinic, and I'm even thinking about being a drug counselor." And I was like, whoa, this dude's pretty serious about this one this time, because he had done the same thing, get right and, go back. But his thing was heroin. So I would always tell him, it was like one of those relationships where it's like, "Sure, Dad, next weekend when you come, I'm going to go with you. That's for sure. I promise you." But, I was really just blowing him off. But as you know, God always has a plan. So, and it's funny because God always does have a plan. And so he kept asking me to go. And then, as the 2001 enters, like I said, I got arrested, got out, went through the same thing, got arrested again, got out, got the same thing. But the second arrest was interesting because my dad actually graduated from Union Rescue Mission on July 1st of 2001, walked the stage, cap and gown. We said we were going to be there, but we weren't there. And the reason is because I'm self-centered, selfish. It's all about me, drug addict. And I asked my sister to use her car, and I didn't come back in time, and I didn't blink an eye at it that this was going to be an accomplishment for my dad. Who cares? It's all about me, right? And so he was pretty upset by that. But let's fast forward to 3 days after that. 3 days after that, it was 4th of July, 2001, Wednesday, July 4th, 2001. And I went to my sister's, and I see him there, and he's high again. I could tell this. So I just kind of like roll my eyes, and I kind of give him a tap and say, in my mind, I'm thinking, "Oh gosh, here we go again." But I have some nerve because I'm on drugs too, right? Right. And I kind of tap his back and say, "Okay, love, you got to go by." And I was leaving to do something else. And I got actually arrested 2 days later on Friday, July 6th. And it was weird because I went to jail. And when I was there, somebody asked me, "Hey, have you ever done a drug program? Because, if you go to a drug program, you don't have to go to jail." And me being that selfish, self-centered guy, like, I can get away with this. I don't have to go to jail. Yes, I'm going to this program. I'm going to go where my dad's going. So I thought about it. And again, I was not ready, but God was setting his plan in place. And I wasn't ready. I was just trying to get out, as easy as possible. And so then I get out, and my sister picks me up from LA County Jail at the Denny's. If anybody knows out there where LA County Jail's at, they always pick you up at the Denny's. And she said, "I got some more bad news for you." And I thought to myself, wow, they got some more charges, because I started with 2 and ended up with 4, and I thought they had more charges. Right. She said, "Daddy died." And I was like, "Wait, what?" And she said, "Yeah, Daddy died." And so what happened was later on that day on 4th of July, he ended up overdosing and dying.
This is
I guess he just did
after
too
he graduated, right? After he
graduated. Yeah. It's 3 days after his graduation. Right. On 4th of July, they found him in the bush. A couple years ago, I called for ordered the autopsy. He was there. They found him in the bush.
Mm.
Crazy, how, just the way you just go.
Right.
I get out. I'm just going full force. They give me a month to turn myself in. We go to his like memorial and stuff, and I'm going full force again. I don't care.
So you're saying full force? You mean you're just going hard in the paint?
Yeah, I just go hard again. I don't care. I got a month to turn myself in. I'm going to do all I can.
You're gonna do whatever you can, right?
Yeah, I'm do all I can because I don't care.
Mhm.
It's on, but it's weird. It's this mentality of I don't know, I don't care. I'm just going to do whatever I do. But so then about a week before I'm supposed to turn myself in, I get arrested again in a stolen car, and this time I know I'm not going home. I go to the county jail. Now they take me to court, and I go to this court. When you go to court, they send you in this one cell by yourself. Sometimes a couple of people, but I was by myself. I go out to court, and it's the DA and the public defender are kind of discussing what they should do with me. And the reason I'm saying this is because you're gonna see God's plan in action right now.
Absolutely.
So the public defender is saying, you know what, I think this guy does need to go to a drug program, and the DA is saying, well, you know what, he can't stay out of trouble. He hasn't even finished this case. We should send him to prison. And so, go back to the cell. We're going to figure out what we're going to do for you. So, me being a tweaker, staying up, 3, 4, 5 days, sleeping half a day, staying up another few days, sleeping another half day. I was tired. So when I was in jail, I slept a lot. So I went back, I was sleeping, but then I remember waking up and I thought to myself, God, what am I doing? At the time, I was like, God, I'm 29 years old. I have 2 daughters that I have not seen. And I don't know what I'm doing, God. I said, I've served you before, because prior to that, I had served God, but, left. And, a couple of times, drugs, jail, Jesus, rinse and repeat. But there was some times I was on fire for God. But I knew that God was the only way. And I just realized, God, I know that serving you is cool. And it's not going to be all peachy and clouds and running in the meadows. Mm-hmm. But there's always hope at the end. Absolutely. And so I thought, God, I tell you what I want to do. Because we always want to make deals with God, right? So I said, if you send me to prison, that's fine. But if you send me to the program, that's fine too. But I just want to get right with you. And so they ended up sentencing me to the program, to the full program, because prior to that, they only had me like maybe halfway, which would have been a terrible thing for me. Plus, I wasn't ready. So at that point, I was ready. And I ended up arriving to Union Rescue Mission, the back doors, with flip-flops, some corduroy shorts, hair grease, a Bible in a bag that they send you from the LA County Jail, and that's all I owned. And now, if you know me and Phil, we compete for how many new clothes we have in the closet. But
that's a whole nother story. Some of my friends know about that, but
yeah. October 24th, 2001 is when I came, and I was ready. And then I ended up graduating the following year, like my dad, in July 7th, 2002. Got the job offer in 2003 as the assistant. As the assistant to the assistant to the assistant at Union Rescue Mission. I worked in the volunteer department. Ended up managing the volunteer department for 8 years, but a total 13 years in the volunteer department. And then I came up to the fundraising department, and that's where I currently am for Union Rescue Mission. And during that time, during that time, I've established a great relationship with my daughters. I've got married, have 2 dogs, Jasmine and Jericho, who are my new kids, my new babies. And so, I mean, God's been good the whole time. I just want to say that for somebody that might want to hear this, you may think you're at a place right now that somebody says you need to take a year and find yourself and go into a program or do something. And you look ahead and you say, man, that year is going to take forever. And it does seem like a long time. But I tell you what, in 1 year, you're going to look back and you're going to say that year has gone by quick. So do it today.
Let's go back to you as a kid, this 15-year-old who was introduced to drugs and its lifestyle. Was it just the LA? Was it a California? Because I hate California. I ran from California. I thought it was the worst place ever. Who introduced you to that? You don't have to out the person, but was it the lifestyle of kids? Because you see a lot of kids now, especially in Harlem. We have this station is in Harlem. I see a lot of kids, and you walk down the streets. There's so many drug addicts now. There are a lot of methadone clinics. How do we get our kids to say no to drugs? How do we get them to sway away from that? And I want to know who introduced and influenced you.
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
But
So, it's for me, it kind of just evolved
mhm,
into experimenting, not being afraid, seeing people on drugs and stuff, and just hanging around the cool kids, trying to be somebody or not. But then also one of the things I cannot say is that the feeling it gives you, that's the scariest part, is because to say that it doesn't feel good would be a complete lie. And I think that's why we do it for so long. I mean, I like to tell people that it gives you a sense of worthiness, accomplishment. You feel good, confidence. And if some kids are struggling with things like that, of course they're going to do something that makes them feel on top of the world. But I said, don't keep your kids too tight, but don't keep them too loose. But I think you should also keep your kids in busy. Find what they love to do, and cultivate that, whatever it is. Sometimes it might not agree with you. Like, I like boxing, and if I had a son, I would try to put him in boxing first. But if he wanted to do tap dance, let's go get some tap shoes, and I'll support you in that, because I want you to be happy in what you do. And if you know that there's a father, my dad was there, but he wasn't there. And I think you have to be consistent, like in anybody's else life, in anybody's relationship. You have to be consistent. Don't be too overwhelming, but don't be too underwhelming.
mhm.
And you should support what they want to do if it's positive, of course. Don't get them into anything crazy.
Let's
But
talk about that lowest point of your life,
mhm.
because they always say you got to hit rock bottom in order for you to hit the top. If you hit the lowest point of your life, there's only one way, and that's up, right?
Yeah, this
What was
is
that? What was that lowest point for you? Doing
well,
everything during that time period of your life.
you
What
know
was the
what's
lowest point?
interesting is I could say the low point of where everything changed was in that jail cell, right? With
Yes.
God had a plan, but He had to get me there. So
Right.
I had several low points where you just feel like a piece of crap. And I'm sorry to say that, but you just feel like a piece of crap, because you have a couple of kids out there, you have family that loves you, and everybody just either doesn't want to be around you, or there's nothing you can contribute to life. One time, somebody that I really um, was close to me told me, "You just exist," and that was crazy. But that was just a low point that I felt like, wow. But one of the low points I felt, I was sitting on the side of a 99-cent store, and I had everything, because we were staying at hotels where we could stay. I had everything I owned in like a little knapsack you can buy from TJ. I mean, it was like this big bag,
Right.
little bag.
Right.
Had everything I owned sitting on the side of a 99-cent store. I didn't have no money, didn't have no job, wasn't seeing my daughters, had nowhere to go, didn't have no drugs. I was completely lost. The only thing I had left was my habit. And I said, I have nothing left. There's nothing in this life. I remember saying this, there's nothing in this life. It'll never get better. All I have left to do is die, but I'm too afraid to kill myself.
Mm.
And I remember saying that to myself. And you think that God is not there. He's probably in your face saying, just turn to me, just turn to me. But I'm like, woe is me, and blah, blah, blah. I did cause that, but that was a low point in my life where I felt like I was worth nothing. But I also got to say, this is about the lowest point, is even at that lowest point, God cares for you. And at that lowest point, I remember feeling like I was worthless. I just wanted to die. And could somebody kill me, or I'm okay dying right now, even though I know I wasn't right with God. But I just felt so worthless. But even in that time, when you think that nothing can ever get better, it can change. And just a quick story on top of that is, I remember one day I was thinking about that particular story. And technology, God really used technology to show me something, and it was amazing. So I remembered that story, and I started to look up online if that store is still there, so I can just go visit that spot.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so I went and I was like, oh, Google Maps. And then I got to do the street view. So I got to look at the street view of where I was sitting, and then it hit me like a ton of bricks. I was looking at the place that I was before, now sitting in the desk at a job years, almost 15, I think it was 15 years later, doing well. And I remember at that time sitting there, I thought things would never get better. And here I am now, managing a team, doing a great job, have Jesus in my life, I was married, have a great relationship with my kids. Everything that I thought I said that would never get better was the total opposite now. And it was just a crazy to stare into that screen, back into that screen. So there is always hope, as cliche as that sounds.
You know, here's the problem I have with the mission sometimes,
Hmm.
and I'm a Christian,
Hmm.
been in church my whole life. Somebody's watching this saying it's not that easy just to
Hmm.
say turn to God.
Hmm.
What kind of practical and, and I don't want my Christian viewers to get on me, but I want to be able to help people,
Yeah.
right? What can we actually tell somebody who's going through something right now, who's going through a drug addiction? They can't. It's not that easy just to turn to God. It's not that easy just to say, "Oh Lord, help me."
Yeah.
What is it that they can do? What's a step by step thing that they can say, "Okay, I need to do this. I need to do this. Let me get this in this mindset." If that makes sense.
You know, Phil, I wish I had the answer to that, but it's not a one size fits all. And it's not easy just to turn to God like that. It's
Mhm.
not. If it was, it would be cool. But see, people see you there and then they see you years later. And you say you turn to God, so they think, how is that possible? Did you just say, Lord, come? And then the lights opened up and he's like, my son, let me put you all in white again and
Right.
give you,
Ah!
yeah, let me cut your hair for you and give you
Right,
some
right.
weight back and take
Mhm.
the addiction away. That would be great. Actually, but you know what? I would suggest this: if you are going through an addiction and people stop by you and they give you those encouraging words, or they plant seeds in you, or they offer help, or somebody just says something so deep to you that days later you're still thinking about it, that's God reaching out to you.
Absolutely.
At least give it a shot. But the one thing I do know that you have to do is you have to be ready. If you're not done, you're not done yet. And I just hope that you do it before it's too late, that it doesn't become too late for you.
And
Um,
too late is death.
too late is death.
That's what too late is. So
Too
anybody's
late is
watching,
death.
too late
And
is death. If you're
yeah,
still alive, you still watching this, you got time. You
yep.
got time
Even
to
if you're,
heal. You
even
got
if
time
you
to
end
get
up
up.
in jail, you still got time. At least you're alive.
You still got
But
time.
too late is death. Because there's only three things that are going to happen to you. Either going to end up jail, you're going to end up dead, or you're going to end up changing.
Mm,
And there's no other ways out of drugs.
right.
There's no other way out of drugs. I wish there was. I wish there was a magic wand, because I would be like, bing, bing, bing. I'd be going
Right.
down the street. But unfortunately, it's not a one size fit all. But I would tell you what to do is to cry out to God and challenge Him.
Mm.
And you may not hear from Him in the way you think, but you will hear from Him in some way.
See, the thing about God is He already has a plan for us. Everything is already laid out.
Yeah,
It's us.
yeah,
We are the problem. We are the issue. So it's a matter of us coming to Him. His arms are already open to us, and our plan has already been laid out. But we have choices, and we have free will, and it's up to us to make the right choices. And if you
yes,
don't, you make the right choice or the wrong choice. Or you make the choice that you think you should make, and God will put you where you need to be.
yeah,
And that's when you start asking God to control and put you and direct your path.
yeah.
Now, I want to talk about, because drug addicts are very selfish, right?
Very.
Let's talk about your kids, your
Okay.
daughters, beautiful, beautiful kids, beautiful daughters.
Mhm.
They must get them from their mother. But I want
Of course. Of course.
me and Alex are homeboys. Don't talk to them like that.
Yeah, yeah, we're good.
What was that life? How was your relationship with them now? And you said you forgot about them. You didn't. What was that like? And what was the forgiveness piece? Because you're very close with your daughters.
Yeah, that was tough
Mhm.
because you go off, man. Yeah, that's tough, dude, because you go off and you have to admit one time or the other that you did choose the drugs over them. Because that's what happens. Because if not, I would have did that. But you have to come to that place where you can tell them that. But you can also tell them that there was not a day or a couple of days that went by that I didn't think about you and felt like crap because I was you. But you just get so immersed in the culture, the drugs, the just wanting to be there. And drugs is crazy, right? Because it's like a thing that you just flow out slowly. Like when you're standing in the Pacific Ocean, where you used to live in LA.
Right.
You're standing,
The worst place in America.
right? You could stand in the waves, and if you stand there long enough, you don't realize that all of a sudden you're way out the deep
Right.
without even knowing it.
Right.
That's how the drugs consumes you. You think you're okay, and then all of a sudden you're in so deep, You're not calling your kids. You don't want to be around your kids because you start to see like you look terrible. You don't got time for that. You're running around. But as far as you wanted to know about the healing process, correct?
Right. The healing process.
It was just really okay. A lot of times I tried to get sober, I tried to do it for other people.
Mhm.
And so finally, when I said I need to do it for me, or I'm not going to be good for anybody, because I was just faking the other times. And when I finally did it to me for me,
Right.
then I realized then I can start healing. But you have to be consistent because people know you say, "Oh, I'm sober again." Then you go back out. Then, "Oh, I'm sober again." They stop believing you. But what I had to do is I had to just live my life, ask people forgiveness, and then just live a consistent life after that so they can see that I was real and what I was doing was real. And when they saw some consistency in my life, then it opened up a lot of doors for me to see them again. But also with that is a lot of hard conversations, because why did you leave? And you were just around. And I tell people the easiest part of getting up, like doing all that, like what I've done, the easiest part was getting sober. The hardest part was turning around and seeing all the destruction you made, and thinking, wow, how am I going to fix that? And sometimes as an addict and somebody that sees that, it scares the crap out of them. And they're just like, well, let me just turn back around and continue on because that's easier. It's hard to face what you've destroyed and try to fix it. My daughter told me one time, she says, you could have just fought for me. What was the big deal? Oh man, oof. It was
That's
just like
real.
you could have just did more. Like you could have just did more.
And I
Why
think about
were you
so
so
many kids. Not to cut you off.
afraid?
I think about so many kids whose parents. I'm an '80s baby, and a lot of those parents. The '80s with drug was heavy in
Yeah.
America.
Mhm.
And like your daughter said, all you have to do is fight for me. But I don't think they understand the pathology of a drug addict as a kid. No kid would understand that, right? No kid
Mhm.
would understand that. Um, but I think it's about being a man, and I think you had to come to that point in your life where you said, "Hey, I got to get it together. Like this is, I have kids,
Yeah.
and I'll have grandkids one day, and I cannot be in this same situation."
Yeah. And you know what? And you have to admit a lot too.
Mhm.
Things people it's the hard conversations that have to come out of your mouth.
Mhm.
Like, yes, I did choose the drugs over you.
Mhm.
People don't want to say that because they say it hurts, but
Mhm.
at least your kids know that you're being 100% real.
Right.
But here's one thing that I did learn about being out there on the streets, and it was somewhat comforting. So, my dad was the same thing.
Mhm.
He wasn't really in my life. He was
Mhm.
out there doing drugs, doing his own thing. And so one day I was thinking about it, and made me realize how I was out there on the streets and always thought about my kids, even though I was choosing the drugs over him. So there was a comfort that said, so if I was doing that all the time, my dad was doing drugs and he wasn't here, I knew he was thinking about me. That's a weird way to comfort yourself, huh? But it was true. I mean, the drugs take you over, but at least you still have this thought of you have kids and you love them. And I feel bad because I'm out here choosing this over. But it's a weird way to find a comfort in knowing my dad always thought about me, even on the streets, because I ended up doing the same thing. But now with my kids, it's a great relationship. But, they come to me for whatever. I remember being the person that everybody's just like, nah, not him, don't do it. And now the first time anybody gets in trouble or anything, they're like, you need to talk to him.
Right.
It's crazy, right? It's crazy. It goes from don't talk
Yeah.
to him to you need to talk to him.
Right. Don't talk to him about political advice. That is another show we're going to
Hey,
talk about today.
yeah.
I don't know. Let's talk about your mom.
Okay,
How,
mom.
your
Yeah.
mom, because she I've seen her several times. She always
Yeah.
comes visit you at work. Let's talk about her and the, I don't want to say pain. I don't want to make you feel bad.
It's all right.
But what you put on her. Did she ever tell you how she felt, or
Phil, even today I apologize because even when I don't know. So when I became homeless before I got it all together, I was on a good streak. I'm going to give you some background on my mom and how dedicated she is to me as a mom. So before I came to the mission, I was on the streets for maybe about 2 years, but it was a tough 2 years because I lost everything because prior to that I was working at a job, an apartment, brand new car, doing good, right? And then one day I just started trying to party again, drinking, and then I let my guard down. And then I did a line, and that was it. It was over. My line of crystal meth, it was over. Now I was like dealing drugs, working, and doing. So then my mom was staying with me because she had got injured on some job and stuff like that. So she was staying with me, and I was able to take care of her, which was great. But when I lost everything, she had to come with me on the streets, and she just had a hip surgery. So
Wow.
she was on crutches, and she could have gone to her sisters or somebody else like that. But I know she didn't want to see her baby on the streets.
So she went on the streets with you?
She was with me on the streets for a while
Wow.
on crutches, and we'd walk around everywhere we went because I lost the car, lost the apartment.
Wow.
And there was a couple nights we stayed up all night. There was one time we stayed behind a Kentucky Fried Chicken. There's one time we kind of slept sitting up on these stairs one time. I mean, the hotels, I would try to hustle to get a hotel,
Yeah.
stay at different dope houses. I mean, it was crazy, but there were times during that time that I treated my mom so bad, so bad. And I still apologize. And then she says, "No, I knew it wasn't you." And I mean, bad, Phil. If I could get a hold of a younger me, I would go jack myself up right now, twice a day.
Right.
But I knew she was hurting, and I knew she wanted to stay with me because she didn't want to see me. She knew where I was going, and she wanted to stick by me because that's who my mom was. That's who my mom still is to this day. And one time though, we were somewhere, and she just reminded me of this a few years ago about this conversation. And moms do know. They see your potential. They know. And she said, "Do you remember that time that you told me about where's all my friends?" And so apparently the conversation went like this. We were at a hotel or something. I had lost everything. Nobody was around because I was the guy that liked to get everybody high and party. And I had asked my mom, "Where's all my friends now that I lost everything?" Like basically that I lost everything. "Where are they all at now?" And she goes, "Don't worry, son. I know one day you're going to get yourself together and you're going to look back and those friends are still going to be in this same place and you're going to be better." Oh, I went off. I was like, "What are you talking about? What the F are you talking about? This is so stupid. Look where I'm at. I'm here. Look at the situation. Will it ever get better?" Blah, blah, blah. And I went off on her. She said, "Do you remember that conversation?" And I said, "Kind of, now that you're telling me it." She says, "So where are your friends at now? And where are you?" And I was like, wow, how would you know that, Mom? I don't know if she just had confidence in me getting it together or just, but she was trying to be encouraging. And she told me that conversation. And I thought, man, my mom, wow. But now, she got her own little thing going on. I love talking to my mom. She's crazy. My mom's crazy, right?
Yeah.
As a matter of fact,
she still has a little dog.
She still has a little dog on her. Now her new dog is called Rascal.
Or Rascal?
Rascal. It's a little.
Okay.
But she just had a surgery on Friday. Let me tell you, that lady, we went to Walgreens right after the surgery to get the medicine, and I thought she wouldn't get off. She wanted to get off. And then she's like, "Oh, they didn't have it." So, well, let's walk around the store, see what they got here.
Yeah.
She just had a hernia surgery.
Oh,
but I love that because that's resilience. She's very resilient, and she's taught me something that you always got to be happy. Right. You always got to be happy. Don't let nobody get you down. That's her words of advice. I always want to be happy. I don't have time to be upset.
You don't have time for that.
But yeah. Did that answer your question? What I was?
It did. It did.
Okay.
I mean, we having a conversation, man. You help.
Yeah. No, I want to touch on points. Get off. But.
I want to compare. And you brought this up. Who you are now to who you used to be. There is a huge difference. But I think you've gotten so many tools that have helped you be the man you are today. I mean, you're a good brother, man. I mean, anytime I need prayer, I call you. We talk about God all the time. What do you think it'll take for men to? They don't even have to be drug addicts. They don't have to be. They could be addicted to porn. They could be addicted to women. They could be addicted to different idols. What does it take for men to start stepping up and being real men and start being the head of their household, to start being leaders in their community, what would it take? What would you say to someone who's watching this that wants to be a man, but they don't have the mother that you have, they don't have the Union Rescue Mission?
Mhm.
What we need to do for brothers out there?
Well, I always think, as cliche as it sounds, like
Mm,
if you have a good relationship with God,
absolutely.
He's going to guide you on what to do, because us as leaders, it's not about being, I mean, it is, you have to be a they always talk about this toxic masculinity, but I don't think masculinity is toxic, unless that's just, like, for lack of better words, the guys that do that, they're just douchebags anyways. Those dudes are soft.
Right.
They're trying to be overly toxic and masculine, but be a man, step up, do the things that you want for a woman. Like, treat them. It's okay to have feelings. It's okay to have emotions. It doesn't mean you got to be soft, but also you got to be able to speak up for yourself, speak up for your family, speak up for other people, and you've got to be the type of person that makes up your mind and doesn't waver in things. And you don't have to be rude. Be a nice person. And I just think that you've got to, how they say treat others how you would like to be treated. That's probably one of the best examples that you could do as anybody in general. But being a leader is somebody that would make people want to follow you. Don't force people to follow you, but do things in your life that would make people want to follow you. People don't want to follow jerks. People don't want to follow rude people. People want to follow people that are nice to everybody and everybody likes. And how can somebody like somebody if they're rude and just different people? But I just say it's hard, because I didn't have a man as an example in my life. There's a lot of things I still don't know how to do as a man, but that doesn't make you any less manly.
Right.
And I think, honestly, get you some good mentors, because I've latched onto a lot of people who are mentoring. And sometimes, believe it or not, sometimes a mentor could be younger than you. It's crazy to make it sound, but there's some guys that are just more mature. But grab you some good guys that you think are doing well, and hang out with them. But also approach people to be mentors. Even at my age, like, will you mentor me?
Mhm.
It's as crazy as it sounds. How honored would you be if somebody came up to you and said, "Would you mentor me? Just talk to me once a week, and if I have questions, can I ask you about them?" That's going to make you step up as a man too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, before you leave, I wanna talk to the people, because you are in fundraising. He's a fundraiser at the mission.
Just call
And
my number at.
right. But you know what? Every friend that I've met in Los Angeles, I've
Mhm.
introduced them to Union Rescue Mission,
Yeah.
because it is, and this is not a show about you. This is about you. But
Mm.
somebody out there is watching this in Los Angeles on Skid Row. They need help, and if you can email Alex, if you go downstairs to security and call him, he'll take you where you need to go at the Union Rescue Mission building. Right? He
Yeah.
may he may give you somebody else a pass,
Yeah.
but
Phil who? Who sent you Phil who?
right. I don't know him. Who is that? But it's a. I just want you to just speak on it a little bit, because it's a great place for people to get healing, to get help, and
Mhm.
sometimes it's just a starter. Sometimes you just got to start over, and there are resources there that can really help people, right? And you can just
Yes.
speak on it just a little bit for me.
Yeah, yeah. So just to give a quick plug to Union Rescue Mission, it's the oldest in Los Angeles, and we serve men, women, and children. We never turn away a single woman or family with children. We have a great men's program, Christian life discipleship program, which I personally went through. And it's a place where you can get the immediate emergency help, but also we always want the best for you. So if you need the long-term transformational help, which is just going to really change your life like it did mine, that's our ultimate goal for you. But if it's just going to start with a meal, then we can do that too. But we really do want you to transform your life. So we have medical, dental, everything. And due to COVID, there's been a lot of things that haven't ran like they ran before. But I tell you, if you want something, if you want to start a new start in life, and you're willing to commit yourself, come to Union Rescue Mission and we can help you out. We can get you started.
Absolutely. Are there any final thoughts you have for the listeners today on Feeling Friends?
I don't know. Did we have anything we want to talk about? We're gonna do a lightning round, or I'm just kidding.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
I just I just want to, thank you. And if there's anybody out there struggling, hope is never lost. Um, if you're on drugs and you're like, oh, you can't do this, I like to tell guys this that are just getting in the program or on drugs and say, who you are today is who I was yesterday, and who I am today is who you can be tomorrow. And that's just facts.
Well,
Facts.
listen, we got to bring you back on the show. This is
Mhm.
this is just a healing moment with you,
Yeah,
and I had to get you on episode
right.
2.
Mhm.
And I want people to get healed. I want people to get help, and I want people to listen to stories like you because you are a friend of mine,
Mhm.
and I really appreciate you, brother. And you're a really
I
good
have
man.
one more thing to say.
Absolutely, go
And
ahead.
I appreciate you, Phil, for having me on the show. And I just do want to offer this. I always do this, but
Mhm.
if there is anybody out there struggling in addiction or anything that you feel like, you have some questions for me, deeper questions, reach out to Phil and his show, and Phil will connect you with me personally. I would be more than happy to talk to you about anything if you're going through something that you feel that I can talk you through, or I may have the resources, or maybe me personally, you can share, or I can share some of my life to help you out. I'm more than willing to reach out to Phil and he'll connect you to me personally. And I'd be more than happy to help you if I can, or whatever I can, in any means I can.
He definitely will. So, Alex, hold tight in the green room, all right?
All
And I'm
right.
gonna catch you in a minute, okay? Listen, we had a great show today with my friend Alex Cornejo. It's a story about healing. It's never too late. God is always there to forgive you, um, and whatever you need, whatever that you wish upon your life, or you may have a friend or a family member who needs help, go to God because we can do all things through Christ who strengthens us, and we have that strength and that power within us to make a difference, to make a change, to use our lives for good. So we thanks Alex for coming on. You're listening to Phil and Friends right here on WHCR 90.3 FM, the voice of Harlem. I'll see you same time, same place, right here in the virtual space, online, on the radio, somewhere on YouTube. I'll see you guys soon, all right? Holla. Peace.